We got a guy next who might have some thoughts on that. Live now. We're not going to commercial. We're bringing him in. And that is former CFL quarterback Drew Willy joining us, I can only guess, from Buffalo today. Tampa!
Looks wintry there.
Yeah, actually in Tampa, Florida, so.
Oh, I'm very envious of you, Drew. Well, first of all, you don't need an introduction on this show. Everybody knows who you are, so let's just jump into it. What are you doing in Tampa Bay today?
Well, I live in Tampa now in the off season, so I've been here about 3.5 years in the off seasons. Working for a buddy of mine, actually a former CFLer, Garrett Wagner, that I played with in Winnipeg. So doing some HR work for him, also doing some business operations and some corporate sales. So he's in a startup phase right now and just trying to help him out with all that. And it's exciting. So busy days every single day, and I'm enjoying it.
Good for you, Drew. And if I may, you look fantastic. You look like you're down a little weight. Not that you were ever heavy, but looks like life is fantastic. And can you jump right into what Abu and I were talking about and your thoughts on a quarterback? You've had your string of concussion history. Any thoughts on what we were just talking about?
Yeah, I kind of picked it up a little bit late, but obviously anytime you take the headshots, it becomes a little bit scary, but at the end of the day, we kind of know what we signed up for. And my personality. I was always one of those people that want to play through everything, and like you said, sometimes you might need someone to pull you off the field. So it's kind of that player's mentality where you want to go after it every single day, and you got a lot of people counting on you, including the coaches, the fans, the organization. So when you're that franchise quarterback, you feel like you're accountable to a lot of people, and you want to do everything you can to help the team.
Well, I'll tell you what, going back now, I thank you. Now you just gave the players' side of it, which is outstanding too, and I'm glad that you did. But you came to Saskatchewan, some great years, you won a ring, and then you left in free agency for the payday. And then it never, I think you took that hit from Adrian Tracy in Winnipeg from the Ticats, so you were never the same again. That's how I see it. Would you change anything going back?
You always think about different situations that you went through, but I thought I was playing at a very high level in 2015. We were winning some games, throwing for a lot of yards, having a lot of touchdowns. Obviously I took a lot of hits in the same, situation there in 14 and 15. I think, it's a situation where injuries happen. It's 100%, throughout your career. It's just eventually it's going to happen to everyone. So I don't blame anything on that kind of thing. But you always think about what would have happened if certain situations would have played out. And I think that goes through every single player's mind.
Probably a really dumb question, but do you remember the hit that I'm talking about?
Oh, yeah, absolutely. Just kind of got held up, and next thing you know, you couldn't get down. And when you're getting held up by someone and you're trying to get down and they come clean you up, it's a tough situation. But like I said, you kind of know what you signed up for in football. And, it's one of those things where I enjoyed the contact in football. And it was always fun to me, just, playing, getting together with the group of guys and going after it and going out there to compete for wins.
Was that the start, though, of some injury issues, or have I completely misread that? Because you left the game, right? Very woozy.
That one obviously was a pretty big hit. I think, everybody was a little concerned for my situation. I ended up playing the next week against Montreal, and we got a win. And I fought through some things, and I was, able to get out there, passed all my tests and all those things. But, any kind of QB is able to, you can figure out ways to pass everything. And I felt like everybody did the right thing, and I was just able to pass all the tests and go through and keep playing. It's one of those, it's a tricky situation with all the, the head contact and all that these days. Obviously it's seen a lot more by everyone. So it's a tricky situation, but at the end of the day, you have to be able to trust the player, trust the team, and make the best, possible situation for each individual party.
For those that don't know, and I've just called up Drew's Wikipedia here, NFL's Ravens, Colts, Jets, and Chargers before coming to the Riders in 2012, 2013, winning a Grey Cup, going to the Bombers 14-16, and then finished out with Toronto and Montreal. What What was your take on the 2013 Grey Cup championship here, Drew, from your position in it? Because fans around here always, they want to hear the stories and they want to hear everybody's perspective. So what was yours on that run, backing up Darien and then I think the biggest championship in franchise history?
Yeah, it was an amazing season. That team was closer than any team I've ever been a part of. You had every single position group hanging out with one another. It's just one of those, it felt like almost a college atmosphere, how close the players were. And everyone was kind of in it for the same goal. We picked up a few free agent guys that off season that really helped us along. And we had some great leadership with all our veteran guys and some young guys that stepped up when their number was called. So it was just one of those great situations. Then to be able to play in Saskatchewan for the Grey Cup, I think that was a huge advantage for us to see the entire stadium in green when we ran out of the tunnel. So, it was a special season, special bunch of guys. And, it's one of those memories that we'll always have as a team and as individuals.
Hey, Drew, I always find it interesting when quarterbacks come up to Canada. I mean, you started playing quarterback at 4 years old and, with a field that's this big and the reads kind of stay the same. You had a year or two to learn behind Darien and you weren't thrown to the wolves too early. How hard is it to learn that there's an extra player on the field? The field is wider and all of your reads are all of your reads different, or how does that kind of knowledge transfer over to the Canadian game, and how long does it take?
Yeah, I think each situation is a little bit different, but it depends what offense you're in. I think in the Mark Trestman, Milanovic offense, it's more progression reads where you're going 1 to 2, 2 to 3, getting to your check down, where some of the traditional CFL offenses, I think, take a little bit longer. You kind of you roll your pocket a little bit more. You got to throw the wide side out. The fly and die ball out there to the Z position. You got to put some air under that thing. I know the first time I threw one of those in the mini camp in Florida, I think I threw it right into the ground. So it was one of those things where we were all trying to figure it out. And, Darian's over there on the side just laughing just because he was telling us you got to put some air under the ball to the field. So it was one of those things. It was a fun game for me just because I felt like my arm was always pretty strong, so I could throw it kind of all over the field. It's the extra guy in the field never really bothered me. It was more just learning, different concepts in the CFL. But I think, if you can get that first year to kind of learn and then get out there and let your talents take over after that. But at the end of the day, it is football, but there's definitely some learning curves. And the more you can kind of run around too, I think helps you in the beginning. Might not help you as you progress in your career, but you can get out of some situations early on when you might not know your reads as well, but your athletic ability takes over.
Drew, you mentioned being in Tampa. Bradenton and IMG is just a scant 38 miles down the coast there. Do you ever drop by? Do you have your hand in football at all there on the Gulf Coast?
No, one of my buddies is the head coach for the regional team, Kyle Bray. He is Mike Bray's son, the head Notre Dame basketball coach. He was my roommate in college, so I try to stay in contact with him a little bit. I know he's doing his thing over there, but obviously you've been down there, Ron. You know what amazing facilities they have, and they kind of have a bunch of different sports and kids from all over the country. Getting into sports, and it's quite the complex. So anytime you can make it that way, I suggest everyone get a chance to look at that area.
Oh, it's amazing. Absolutely amazing. And lastly, Drew, now that I know that you're in Tampa, I will be looking you up when I'm in Tampa, but I don't want to wait till then to ask you this question, and it's simply this. And you know it's coming. If you had waited, you'd have had the keys to the castle here. Right? When Darien was done. Do you ever think about that maybe you were just a little too impatient, or just no regrets? It is what it is.
Yeah, no regrets. It is what it is. Obviously, Saskatchewan's always been a special place to me. Darien's like an older brother to me, and we've had a lot of emotional moments together, a lot of good talks, and we were together a little bit there in Montreal at the end of his run, and we'll always be good friends. Winnipeg was a great situation for me. I wish I would have been able to kind of finish it out a little bit differently than obviously it all played out. But, 2015, I thought I was playing some really good football. And, like you said, the injuries, kind of stacked up and kind of had the tibial plateau fracture as well. So it's just kind of one of those things where, you woulda, coulda, shoulda, but at the end of the day, I'm happy with everything that's gone on. And, I'm still into looking to play. It's just one of those things where it's got to be the right situation, the right offer. We were talking to some teams this off season and kind of even during the season, and just never the right offer kind of came. So, possibly if there's something that opens up and free agency here when the salary cap kind of opens up again, maybe there'll be something. If not, doing well. So family's doing well. So can't complain. And, I'm still watching the CFL consistently and enjoying everything that you guys do for the game. And it's such a great league and a great country that, I've always stand behind it.
Well, thank you, Drew. And one of our viewers, Craig in Regina, wrote in and asked us to ask you if the Bombers called you here when they were looking for a veteran quarterback.
Yeah, I talked to them briefly. It was one of those things where the offer just wasn't something that lined up for me. I'm doing well in, my second phase after football, but I'm still, training every morning, 5 a.m. and get up and I come into work from 7 to 4 and still throw a couple times a week. So I'm ready to play, good game shape. Like you said, the weight, I'm doing well with my weight, lifting, all those kinds of things. They did reach out, but at the end of the day, I think they do want to play Strebler, and it's just one of those situations. They were looking for that veteran to possibly come in and, have that veteran leadership that you kind of want throughout the playoffs and in some tough games. So, it's just one of those situations. I like everyone in Winnipeg, and, everyone, we have obviously become very close with everyone there and have great respect for them, but just didn't line up at this time.
Good to hear. Well, Drew, good luck with everything. This interview has been far too long coming. I thank Clark for lining it up, and good luck with everything, and hopefully we're hearing from you again real soon.
All right. Thanks, Rod. I appreciate everything.
You're watching Rod Pedersen On Demand. For more of The Rod Pedersen Show, visit rodpedersen.com or follow Rod Pedersen on social media.